I have to admit, after now watching 3 episodes of Reincarnated as a Sword, Fran is come across as one of the most adorable yet violent anime characters I think I've seen in this type of show. Just the way they can so seamlessly make her feel like this little girl who really is looking at this sword as her father figure, her teacher, her basically role model, right? And she can be so adorable yet innocent, and you just melt at the sight of all of the innocent things that can occur. Yet, in the middle of battle, she can be one of the most violent menaces I think this type of show can have. And it's not like it comes across as she's a psycho and just enjoys the thrill of the kill. It's more so, she's been discriminated against. Her parents were discriminated against, her people in general, because they apparently don't evolve and they're just useless. So there's that drive to be stronger, to be better, to almost prove everyone wrong. And when you look at these goblins who basically just hunt and kill humans and the alike, right? Just the fact of the matter is, it doesn't come across as this like, she's this crazy psycho who needs to thrill the hunt because it's just amusing. More so, it feels like she has something to prove and she wants to protect those, whether herself or those around her. And it makes for a very fascinating show because when you look at this episode, over 3/4 of it was more so just setup. It was getting some armor, getting some equipment, some spices to cook food. It was pretty wholesome more often than not. And honestly, it's great to see that the end of last week where she cut the legs off of the scumbag ended up not only just getting her to be accepted within the guild, but more so, a man whose armor and equipment is so sought after that he doesn't give it to anyone unless he deems them worthy. You know, because of that action, she's now getting some pretty decent equipment that, based on the end of this episode, probably saved her life more than one different times. But the fact of the matter is, I think the thing I'm interested in seeing with her character is that the end of the episode shows 2 very important factors. She's powerful, and she has a desire and drive to be better, but she also is very ignorant and very childlike, meaning she's going to take on and she's going to bite off more than she can chew, meaning it could be very deadly in a life or death situation. And I'm interested to see how she'll overcome that hurdle of not throwing herself just like in front of death's doorstep. When Master Sensei's telling us to retreat, we need to do that, otherwise obviously, the bad thing that probably could happen next week will probably happen again. It kind of feels like one of those experiences where no pain, no gain, but also she needs to fall down and get back up, because it's one of those moments where she's very much in her own head. She feels like she's on the top of the world, she can deal with anything. But I think she does need to suffer a defeat in some way, whether that's a very painful one, whether she gets wounded, before she can really comprehend, what she's gonna need to do. Because this is someone who doesn't want to give up, doesn't want to back down. And it's very possible next week she could win this battle and all's fine. But eventually there's gonna come a point where either she'll get someone killed, she'll hurt herself, almost getting herself killed, or she'll suffer some form of defeat that's gonna make her wake up and say, sometimes it's better to retreat so you can tackle the next day rather than dying because you had too much courage, right? I think that's what I like about this show, is that it's not afraid to be mature, it's not afraid to be violent, it's not afraid to touch upon subject matter that can make you a little unnerved. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of what we see outside of battles is comfy, silly, cute fun of father sword and daughter cat girl over here, and just the whole shenanigans that can pop up, whether that's going underwear shopping, whether that's, dealing with the glares that could come because, she's just not respected in this world. And I like the fact that they can also make you think of the long-term ramifications of what this type of mentality can do. Going from someone who never had any power, was beaten and whipped by slave traders, to now having more power than she ever dreamed of, feeling on the top of her world, but eventually probably going to have a wake-up call, whether that comes from defeat, whether that comes from death and loss, or it comes from just realization because she calms down after a life or death battle. But there's going to come those points where she'll have to reflect, and I like the fact that this journey won't just be sunshine and rainbows. Even if these two are going to be closer than anyone in any anime season, at the end of the day, there will be loss and hardships, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do. The thing that continues to be quite shocking is just how they detail the gore, because often you'll see, heads get cut off, or you'll see the typical gore that's like, oh shit, I wasn't quite expecting the show to go that hard, but that's pretty impressive. But the thing that I like is how they use magic and just different attacks to destroy bodies in a realistic way for their environment. Like, there's this one attack she does where she basically, it looks like a pebble, and it's a type of earth magic that almost feels like a Gatling gun that shot at him. And the way the body kind of splits apart, it feels like someone who was actually hit by something that felt like it had a force unlike anything else. Or the way characters will be burned or slashed. It's not like they reuse the same type of animation techniques for the different attacks that this girl can use, and that actually goes a long way to making the fights continue to be quite interesting, because as it stands, the main opponent she's gone up against is goblins, but not only do the goblins look better than a lot of goblins in anime, because they're visually distinct and the different, hierarchies, the hobgoblins, the king and the queen, all that stuff is fun, but also the way they go about fighting them and the way they go about countering them. Like, they're not just idiots who come in with a club and try to hit you, like some of the base goblins, sure, but there's actually some maneuvers from the horns to going from behind. Like, they actually feel like they have intelligence, which, for a beginner level monster in a show like this, I'm glad that they actually make you put up a fight if they can overwhelm you with sheer numbers. By themselves, not too much to worry about, but as we see, if they have dozens of them, even a strong character like Fran can get overwhelmed quite easily. But there's a lot to really enjoy about an episode like this. I really like the slice of life stuff. I like the blacksmith in terms of his payment and how he's like, you know what, I'll make you that sheath, of course, I'll take a few days. All this material that you just dropped, give me a month and you'll have even better armor than what you currently have. To just the numerous little mechanics that I really like, the whole idea that now she's a member of the Adventurer Guild, that basically acts as an ID card. So normally, if you were a kid trying to rent a room in an inn, they would turn you away and say bring your parents. But because she's legally an adventurer, she's able to do that. And just the sweet moments of her being like, I never thought I'd be able to sleep in a nice bed like this, and he's saying, you'll always be able to, you'll never go hungry, we'll make sure that you have an enjoyable life. I like that rather than it coming across as, this is a sword who can't eat, and now he's no longer a person, he feels like he's just the most wholesome father figure who gets embarrassed because his little girl is going underwear shopping, or he's trying to cook her these nice dinners and he's so happy that she's able to. The fact that they have fun with him being a sword, so they'll give him these little arms that he can do things with. It's just nice to see that it's a very wholesome yet mature show, all wrapped into an interesting package that really has some great world building, great storytelling so far, but most importantly, the characterization is really solid. Episode 1 was really the sword's time to shine, but episodes 2 and 3 really has made Fran into a very memorable character, I have to say, and I like that she's not flawless and definitely feels like a kid in certain senses, meaning that she kind of puts herself into extra danger that she doesn't need to, and I think it'll be interesting to see the type of wake-up call she'll have to experience along the journey to whenever she does eventually evolve, because I imagine that has to happen just given the type of story that this is, right? But either way, I leave another episode very pleased, excited for more thoughts, feelings, and ideas on what you want to see in the future of the show. Do let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.